top left?
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Vasundhara. Okay, very good evening to everyone. I welcome you all today at Protest Professional Training for today's evening amazing webinar. My name is Preeti. I am one of the team leaders at Protest Professional Training. So before we start, let me have a quick, overview about us. ProTouch is a certification institute which provides upskilling courses to the professionals like HR generalists, HR analytics, POSH, train the trainer, to deliver POSH trainings, corporate trainer, and a facilitator, train the trainer. So we also provide customized programs. All the programs are accredited by the topmost bodies like SHRM, HRCS, CPD, and IBEC. I'm also glad to see many, existing students, team members, and aspiring students of ProTouch who has joined this learning session today evening. I would also love to know from which locations you all are joining and how is your energy. You can just let me know in the chat box on the scale of 1 to 10. Thank you. Okay, Saleha is at 7.7, Rahul sir, Gurgaon, and energy is, super high. Yash from Dwarka, energy is 10, amazing, nice, thank you. Bangalore 10, Neeta Sinha 8, Naveen from Gurgaon, amazing. Nice, thank you so much. Hello, ma'am from Pune. Shalan, Manohar Pradhan, go ahead, ma'am. All right. Nice, nice. Great. All right. So now let's begin with the learning session with our very beloved, Sunita Mukher and Vasundhara Kanojia, who will be the guest speaker for today's evening session. So I'm so much glad to share with you that Sunita Mukher, she believes in touching and transforming lives. Her policy in life is, you only live once, but if you do it right, one is enough. Correct me if I'm not mistaken, Sunita.
Absolutely right, Preeti.
So she stands tall and firm with an experience of more than 12 years in the education industry. She is an English master trainer as well as a process trainer. She has hired and trained around 2,000 educators for various giant online learning platforms like Byju's, Whitehead JR, Miss Street, and Hello Learners for the international as well as national market. So as a master trainer, she went live on Facebook in various countries to showcase the content, programs, and teaching styles offered by the country. She has a deep understanding of the American Common Core curriculum, the international baccalaureate, which is known as IB curriculum from UK, the SAS, which stands for the Singapore American School Curriculum, and the NAPLAN from Australia. I also want to introduce Vasundhara Kanojia, who is a certified soft skill trainer as well as a corporate trainer with a degree in MBA in marketing. She comes with experience in the industries of training, education, and not for profits. She has handled job profiles of soft skill trainings and course development, career counseling, and guidance, delivering training workshops and seminars for an engineering college, along with doing event management, coordination, fundraising for Indoor Cancer Foundation. She has a keen interest in photography and as well as traveling. And currently she's living in Madrid, where she works with the Ministry of Education in Spain. I welcome both of the guest speakers today evening for today's webinar. And over to you, Sunita, as well as Vasundhara. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you, Preeti. Thank you so much for the wonderful introduction you gave. It really feels elated at the moment. Thank you so much, Rahul sir, Aparna ma'am, for giving us this opportunity, right, to stand in front of all of you and present our topic today. And above all, I would say thank you so much, each one of you. You've taken out that little time, right, to be here and giving us the chance, right, to present and learn something more today. So thank you so much. And we'll begin with our webinar. So Vasu, I would request you to share the PPT.
Yes. Rahul sir, do I have to click on optimize for video clip?
No, not required. Just share this your presentation window.
Okay, let's see it like this only first.
Yeah, all good. Yes, it's visible. All good.
Thank you, Vasu. Thank you so much. So to begin with, all of you, I would want you, I would request you to look at the topic. What is most of you were sent the message, I guess you're aware about it. We are going to speak about conflict management today. So I want you to focus on my first word, conflict, at the moment to pick up with, right? We'll come up to management also, but to start with. So when we talk about the word conflict, we all have experienced some kind of dispute, unrest in our lives today, sometime in the recent, times, maybe in the past. I want all of you, I would request you rather to close your eyes for maybe just 30 seconds. Just close your eyes. I want you to feel this word. I know it's not a great word for all of you at the moment, but I promise your perspective is surely going to change. But 30 seconds, I want all of you to close your eyes and, maybe think of this particular word, the term conflict. How does it feel whenever we witnessed it? At times it feels right, a tornado maybe approaching, or maybe at times we feel a volcano which is about to erupt. At times we feel, a lot of unrest within, a turmoil going on in our heads, and maybe a lot of stress, anxiousness, disappointment. There are various feelings we go across whenever we think of this term. Any one incident at your workplace, I want you to think about that in while you're closing your eyes, right? But what I want you all to now open your eyes. Yes, thank you so much for doing that if you did that. So yes, I know. And but what if I told you today that this word conflict has a positive meaning? It is a solution. It is surely not a problem. What if I told you, surely the word conflict, it comes with a lot of learning. It is useful, it is necessary, though we cannot avoid, right, conflict from our lives. We cannot take it away. But friends, I promise today, by the end of our today's session, I promise that your perspective, your point of view is surely going to change. You're going to find this term more friendlier. You're going to accept this term, right, with open arms, and you'll be all ready to face it. So yes, that's my promise, and I start on that note. So over to you, Vasu.
Okay, so before we begin, we want you all to, mingle up a little bit. So because we're going to be together for another 1 hour or 50 minutes or so. So I want all of you to, some of you have already told the places that you belong to, but we want to know all of you, where are you sitting right now, or which is your city? Where do you belong to? You can type it in the chat box. Up. Yes. Varanasi, Hyderabad, Gurugram, Bengaluru, Delhi, Noida. A lot of North Indians are here. Then we have someone from Pune, Shalan. And what about others? Is that everyone? Oh, I have someone from Indore as well. That's amazing. Okay, so wow, someone is from Istanbul as well. So just want to know, what are your breakfast things in the cities that you live in? What are the things that you eat for breakfast? Every city has their own one signature breakfast dish, isn't it? Chole bhature, sambar, dosa. I am feeling hungry already. been missing all this food for like 2-3 months already now. Poha, kachori, chola bhatura. So don't you think all these breakfasts that we have here, it's a little on the heavier side? We have chola bhatura for breakfast, and then we have things like parathas. And if you're a Punjabi, parathas can never happen without a lot of butter, isn't it? So what do you have to say for this thing? Like, Italy is definitely lighter, but it doesn't work throughout the whole country. So what do you want to say about it? Like, would you want to trade your chola bhatura for something which is on the healthier side, like oats or something like that, or maybe poha or upma? You can unmute and talk if you want.
Well, Vasu, that depends upon, how many calories would you like to add on that particular day?
Yes, definitely. But every day we all have to go to work, and it may be a case when you know that you might not be getting a chance to catch up on lunch. So we want to do a heavier breakfast so that we do not stay on an empty stomach for a longer time. But sometimes we do want to switch to a healthier breakfast. But what is it like? Do you want to completely transform towards a healthier breakfast? Like, can you live on oats? Like, if your mom or someone who actually is the in charge of the kitchen in the house decides from today no parathas anymore, it takes a lot of my time. It's very I have to clean the whole of kitchen from tomorrow. You all have to just do oats. Just take your milk, put some oats in it, and just have that. Will you be fine with that?
We may, but, the family members who handle kitchen may not be, fine with it. I'm trying to understand what you are trying to bring out of these situations. Yes, there is a difference of opinion.
Yes.
And of course, that difference of opinion leads into conflict in day-to-day life. Yeah.
Yeah, so I've had
and also Punjabi mothers does not believe that paratha is unhealthy, and butter definitely is not.
अरे एक नहीं चार खाओ. You can just like, so that's the whole point. Why I wanted all of you to write your dishes here is, now if we see the chat, we have so many things that we can see here. We have idli, we have dosa, we have poha, jalebi, kachori, parathas, chola bhaturas, and everything. So we all belong to one place. We are united by one thing, which is India, our country, right? But if we move from one place to another, if you even move by 50 kilometers to another place, everything changes. People change their food, they change their dressing sense, they change the language that they speak even. And that's why we have like thousands of dialects spoken across the country. So why we're doing this is that if you go to another city and you find that, oh, they make poha so differently. I've seen that if you go to Delhi, they put tomato in poha, and being an Indori, it's like a crime to put tomato in poha. Okay, but they have had it the same way throughout their lives. Like, oh, how can you make tomato without poha? It's an essential part of it. So that's what I'm trying to tell here, that when we see a lot of variety coming from people and we still agree somewhere, but when we make it a serious topic, conflicts come in and they aggravate. What happens is that in an organization or in any organization, there are differences of opinions, but just like a vast platter of a lot of different variety of breakfast, like your whole buffet is your breakfast buffet, you can choose what you want to have. So what we're trying to understand here is that there may be conflicts in life, but it is not that it makes you either right or wrong. A conflict, therefore, can be something which is between two people, and not, it's between two right people and not just between one right and one wrong person. I'm not able to move the slides, so.
Is it
Yes.
just
Yeah.
Yeah, it's moving.
It worked now. Yes, so that's what I wanted to tell, that when we see that there are a lot of variety of food that we see in one country, in the same way there is a variety of thoughts and perspectives that people have in life, because of which we can see that sometimes there is a mismatch, and which is again a natural part of our lives. And that's why we do not have to portray one thing as right and the other one as wrong. There can be both the things and they can coexist with each other. Which brings us to our next point, that today what we will be learning, so we will be understanding conflict and its properties, so that next time when we face a conflict, we do not focus towards something which is just right, or I am right and you're wrong. We can just try to coexist. We will understand multiple approaches in which you can, deal with conflict, and then reflect on our own approach towards conflict. And then lastly, to understand the tools that may be used to resolve or manage conflicts. And now Sunita ma'am will be reciting an anecdote with all of us.
Thank you so much, Vasu. We'll just change the slide.
Yeah.
All right. So again, we come back to the same point which I was talking about, right? Conflict. As I told all of you, I assured you all, right? I promised you all that the word conflict, what we are scared of at times, it is inevitable. We all agree to this. We cannot avoid it. We can't take it out of our life. We all as humans have to face it. But when I tell you it is necessary for change and how it is useful in our lives for our growth and development, I'm going to prove that with a real life example and anecdote, which I'll be sharing. So it was like maybe some years back, I would want to talk about my personal experience I'm sharing here. My daughter, who was 10 years old at that time, I could see her behavior changing at home. And it was a little surprising for us, the kind of upbringing for all the kids we've shared here. She was one person which we felt was odd, something different happening in front of us. So we as parents felt like this is not a great feeling. What is happening? The way she would fight with her siblings, we would see every day her behavior deteriorating, rather, I would say. And then we tried every possible thing, right? Trying to bribe her for good behavior, trying to punish her at times. I did my best as a mother, whatever I could do. We were worried as parents, my husband and I. And then after that, maybe, but things were not working at all. And maybe that turmoil went on increasing and increasing day by day. I finally thought of changing that approach a little bit. I was about to give up. I was feeling a little frustrated as a mother. I guess most of you will be able to connect with this anecdote or this experience, because these kind of problems, maybe at work or maybe with your family, with your kids, we all witness at some point of the time or the other. So after changing my approach into communication and listening, I went and I walked up to my child and I just asked my daughter, is there something which is bothering her? Because I cannot accept as a mother, what is it, what I'm seeing? Why is it that I am feeling as a parent? I feel helpless at the moment. Can I do anything wherein I can help you? I can understand. I couldn't hear anything for days. But maybe after repeatedly asking her one odd day, one fine day, maybe after maybe 7 to 8 days, I would just keep lying down and she would look the other side. But one day she came up to me and she told me, Mom, do you even know what bullying in school means like? Have you ever felt of it? And I was like, for a moment, I knew what was the cause. I could feel it. And I was shaken from within. I was trembling. This is, I guess, every parent's worst nightmare. You don't want your kids to go through any kind of harassment, maybe bullying at school. So she was going through it for days and she felt we did not understand. We could not even touch her problem. And everybody's leading a normal life. They are just behind me. But she could not cope up. The day when she spoke, I shared my example because as a kid, I have also gone through it. But I could handle it well. She could not. I felt though. But I told her how she could have handled it. Though we sorted the problem as parents, we came forward. But that day, I would say it was a new beginning in the relationship wherein she trusted me. She felt it is normal. It happens with other people, the way I told her. And yes, it was beautiful for her growth. She grew that day. Our relationship grew that day, and then since then, it's been like we sit and talk, anything and everything happening. So what I'm trying to say, conflict, we cannot avoid it. It's inevitable, right? We are going to face. But when I say it is necessary, yes, of course, for change, she's become a confident person since then. I know that anything coming her way, she can handle it now. She can come up to me. She can cry on my shoulder, but she's a changed person. At the same time, it is useful. It was useful because she grew. We all grew, right? That day in that relationship, and we became closer. So, as I said, I hope most of you would be able to connect with this small anecdote, right, from a real life. I said, the same way you would be having problems maybe at workplace also. So nobody, we just feel like this person is wrong. As Vasu said, it is not about right or wrong. It's about basically two right people. We just need to understand. We need to listen to them. We need to communicate. We need to calm down. We need to be patient, and we have a solution there. Yes, it is not a problem. It is a solution. I hope to an extent, maybe 10 to 20%, you can, right, agree to me what I was trying to tell you, what I promised today about this term conflict. Let's move ahead, Vasu. All right, so here we have the definition, the exact definition of the word conflict. So now I'll be playing an audio shortly. Now, what is that audio all about? We've recorded, Vasu and me, we've recorded, wherein, for example, right, we both are working, the situation says so that we both are working for an event management company. And Vasu is my subordinate, my intern, and yes, I'm the manager here. Kindly mind the tone which I'm using. I'm irritated because I'm answerable to my client at the moment, right? So I just gave you a little bit of a backdrop. So I would request you, Vasu, to just play the audio. Kindly hear it out. Hi, Vasu. Have finalized.
Is it audible?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Hi, Vasu. Have finalized the table decor material?
Ma'am, I thought we were going to do it together, so I took the invitation card work for now.
Then shouldn't you have come and asked me about it? I've got my hands full. You cannot expect me calling you and asking for all these things.
I'm sorry, ma'am, can I come right now?
Now I have to finish the pending work first. You should have told me you've done nothing about it. And we have the meeting on Friday. What am I going to show the clients?
It's not like I haven't done anything, ma'am. I've gotten the fabrics in two colors. One is orange and the other one is a shade of pink.
Both these colors, they're out of fashion now. You're not going to like it.
But the bride's mother is very traditional and she specifically said that she wants all red colors. At least we are not going all out with red everywhere.
Seriously, Vasu? Is this the mother's wedding we are talking about?
No, ma'am.
Then read the minutes, check the discussion with the couple and do it again. All right, thank you, Vasu. So I hope you all heard this conversation, right? There is a conflict. There is a mild conflict happening here at workplace between Vasu and, right, the manager here. So what were your observations? I'd like to hear from all of you, maybe a sentence, whatever you felt. I want to complete this definition today. I want you to feel this definition, what I'm talking about. And so what did you feel? What did you realize? Anything what comes to your mind? I'll start with, there were two people, right? Interaction happening between two interdependent people. What would you like to say? Anybody, feel free to type, please.
Can I say something
Yeah, sure.
to it?
Yes, go ahead.
All right. Well, I felt that there is a lack of communication for sure. And sense of the sense of responsibility is missing. That's what I felt.
Responsibility is missing. All right, the goals are different. You can see the pressure with one person and the other person the way, right? She's an intern. She's here to learn, but I have the pressure. I have to respond. Well said, Geeta. Anybody else?
I felt both were right and both were wrong.
Right, sir. So how did you feel that both were right? I'd like to ask this.
I felt both were right. You were right because you were expecting something. She was right because she was anticipating something, and she did something about it. And yes, I think in parts both were right.
Right, absolutely. That's what we are talking. The whole agenda speaks about that both are right. She's an intern. She's here to learn. She has a viewpoint and she is ready to show, right? Show all her colors, the way she wants to work. So nobody is wrong here. Everybody's right. But I have the pressure. I have the client meeting on Friday. So here, this audio so well describes this definition, the interaction of interdependent people, because both the people are dependent on each other, who perceive, look at things in an incompatible goals and interference from each other in achieving those goals. They both are working towards the same thing, right? So that is how it happens at times. This is what conflict is we were talking. I hope it was well introduced. Let's move ahead. Vasu?
Yes.
All right. So what is conflict? We are coming to this, a little bit of features, characteristics we are talking about. Conflict is perceived difference, the way you look at things, right? The way Vasu looked at things or the way I looked at things, right? I have a name, I'm representing a brand. I have to be there all out, pleasing the client, everything. I have that pressure about my needs are going to be different. My goals are going to be a little bit here and there. But in the end, ultimately, goals are same. Yes, we both are working towards, but the way we look at things, that's going to be different about two individuals or maybe many other individuals who are working together. Secondly, when I say it's part of a relationship, how can conflict be a part of relationship? Can anybody would like to throw light on this? What is your understanding of this term, part of a relationship? Maybe you can pick up an example from real life, right? This sentence, conflict is a part of a relationship, a part of every relationship. Maybe you can pick up an example from real life or maybe your workplace.
Mom, can I go ahead?
Yes, please, Chetra.
So when we talk about relationship, it is always made of people. So when people are involved, there would be a difference of opinion and their perception. So there arises a conflict. So that's how it is a part of every relationship.
Absolutely. So well said, Chetra. Two people are different. That's what we are trying to say. They're not wrong, they're different. But every relationship, it cannot be smooth. It's not a Karan Johar movie going on here. Trust me when I say that. Every relationship. When we got married, we were told, all right, we had this in our mind, right? The Karan Johar relationship, it's hair flying. And, when I go my first day of wedding, my first month of wedding, I'm going to do this. But yes, as a husband and wife, no, I saw myself fighting on the very first week. Who's going to wash the dishes? I'm working, you are working. It's not a Karan Johar movie going on. So yes, it's well said. As you say, it can be a relationship between man and society too. Yes, it's a kind of, right? Relationship, what we say. So yes, every part of relation, even with your kids, your family or workplace, its conflict is always there. It's inevitable and essential for change and growth, as I spoke about it just now, some time back, right? About that small, how it changes whenever there's a conflict. And when we try to manage and resolve it, you will see at the end of it, there is change and growth happening for sure. But at the same time, conflict, what it is not, we are talking about. I repeat, conflict is not a sign of a bad relationship. Even husband and wife having a conflict, or at your workplace, two colleagues. So it's not a sign of a bad relationship. It's about growth and change as we are talking, because we are learning in the process. Negative experience, it's not a negative experience. I repeat, as I said, it's a positive experience because there will be change, there will be growth experience. It's not a mistake at all. It's surely not a mistake. And yes, it's a struggle not between right and wrong, as we again said, right? It's between two right people or two right individuals or two right groups. That's what we are trying to say. All right, let's move ahead, Vasu. So examples of conflict. When you look at, we've picked up an example over here from the hospital industry, right? The medical field here, the example is given in front of you. But I would like to ask all of you, I would request all of you to share, right, certain examples of conflict. So for the first one, when I talk about the generational change, just the first one. So we have various generations, the Gen X, the Gen Z, the millennials, what we say, or even we can talk about the baby boomers, born in 1947. So these are all experienced people. They do not like change. So when you look at the first example, how staff clash with primary care providers when they are sick. So here, basically, these are the residents, the house staff we are talking about, and their clash with the care providers, the doctors over here, the experienced and the mature, the elderly doctors here. So here there's a clash between them. So anybody who's witnessed, right, an example over here of conflict between two generations here. They're trying to cope up. Anybody would like to come forward and share an example here? Generational change leading to conflict. Nobody at workplace, at home, with your kids, right? It happens, they feel that we fail to understand them, right? That's such an easy example, but anybody from their workplace, college, university, the teacher's not understanding, you feel, if you're a student, anybody.
Can I share something on this?
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay, as you said that, generational change, it happened with me when I started working. So I come from a background, like a very conservative background, and my father didn't allow me to work in a call center. That time it was a rage, working in a call center, night shifts and all. So my father, didn't allow me. But I had that conflict with him, that, difference of opinion, and, that things are changing, times are changing, you need to change with time. So that's what I feel, and right now I am going through that generational conflict with my daughter. Maybe, I can relate to it now,
Yes.
that how my father must have felt, when I started working, and when I have that difference of opinion with my daughter. So that's, that's what I feel, but we need to change with times. That's what.
Absolutely. So now, do you agree, Geeta, that was not a conflict at all? You think about your
Yeah.
father. It was not
Yeah.
at all, right? It was a positive learning. So now you can be more adaptive when you are approaching your daughter, right? You will try to
Correct.
analyze the thoughts and let her go ahead. So certainly there was nothing to fight about. And had we been, right, in a mutual way, we would have discussed and felt it. First of all, it's not a conflict. That's what we are saying. Yes, but with generation, it can happen here. We can see these are various types of conflict. Okay, now the second is the technology-driven change. Suddenly your company declares, all right, upgrading electronic records. Now we're going to do it, electronic. So of course, by the time we learn, there are differences, people who are doing it fast, who are doing it, maybe my report depends on somebody else, could be any examples. Technology-driven change would lead to conflicts in a group of people who are working together. Anybody would like to come forward and share the real life experience? Paperless, right? Absolutely. Going ahead, right? So anybody who's witnessed at workplace technology-driven change happening and due to that conflict related to that.
Yeah, totally. We started with the time when we were working with WordStar. So, and we were not very fast in typing, and we have a lot of contracts and everything to be written. So we used to take the help of an assistant. At that time, we never used to do the work ourselves. And later on, we were asked to do everything ourselves because, the softwares were uploaded, Windows came in and all this stuff. So we were not it was very tough for us to adapt to that situation. And then slowly it began. So I know of that era when we had to do everything manually, and then we had to switch it to now we work on digital signature and everything. So it is like totally different. So we know the change.
Absolutely. Well said. So if you look at it now, when you've been a pro,
Hello, ma'am.
right?
Hello.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, ma'am. Hello.
Yes, Manu,
Yeah, ma'am.
go ahead.
Yeah, ma'am. Actually, same. I want to say you that I was in the same 40 years industry company, 40 to 50 years industry company, ma'am. It is with 3,000 people totally. Hello.
Yes, Manohar, we can hear you. Please go ahead.
Yeah. In that, mostly 1,200 members are uneducated. Mostly, I want to say that. Till now, we are from the present generation. We are looking after the paperless, total digitalization, etc., etc., etc. But till now, also the my old mindset is going on.
Right.
They are going to continue with paper only.
They want to, yeah.
They want to continue. They don't want to change.
Okay.
It is the one example I'm going to say.
Sure. Manu, give them laptops, I would say. Tell your company to give them laptops, right? And see how they learn. There is no yes, I understand, because they don't have, as you said, right? They're not much educated. So it could happen. Thank you so much, Manohar, for sharing. Thank you so much.
Ma'am, I have one example. where
Sure.
it's a generational change due to technology.
All
So,
right.
so,
Please go ahead.
parents and grandparents, when mobiles come in and all, so we've had this dabba TV in our house for a very long time. And then we recently, like a year or two back, we got the new flat TV, and which is a smart TV. So earlier it was from dish antenna changing to Tata Sky. And then when we told that now we'll get a Wi-Fi in the TV and you can just talk to the TV and ask it to play everything. So my father got so agitated that why do you want to remove Tata Sky now? It's okay, we don't want Wi-Fi. And it was so difficult to convince him that we can get this and we can do this, because from their perspective, it's a lot of money, and it's going to be very difficult to use it. So he was very apprehensive to begin with, and we had to sit down and tell him, "Ki Papa, just it's okay. We'll have your Tata Sky as well, and we'll get the Wi-Fi as well, and you try to use it, and then we'll see how it works." And now he's very comfortable with it.
So it's matter of time. That's what we said. The conflict momentarily happens for sure, right? We see that. But here, this change, right? This era, what we're talking about, our parents, right? They are a little bit hesitant to accept change initially. But once they're used to, now you see your parents sending you the morning messages, right? They've been used to sending those codes and messages all your days. It's just matter of time, right? Once they practice, it's all fine. So these are a few examples that what we were trying. So change in scope of practice. At times you want to go your way, the way Vasu did. In our example, the audio, what we heard, right? So the way you want to show your talent, your caliber, you keep on the table your point of view, your learnings, and I have my way, right? So there can be in scope of practice, and at times about salaries, we come and find conflicts. So any other examples of conflict other than these points mentioned? Anybody would like to come forward? Any other example of conflict? Anybody? One odd example apart from these mentioned here. All right, so we've discussed enough. Let's move ahead. Vasu, please change the slide.
Yeah.
Husband and wife, that's very common, Manohar. I told you it's not a Karan Johar movie at all. Okay, so coming to advantages of conflict, right? So it says it diffuses more serious conflicts. Yes, so I want you all to look at it, what's on screen. Okay, it says diffuses more serious conflicts, stimulates search for new facts or solutions, enhance relationships or increase cohesiveness. I want all these 4 points. I want a small real life experience which can be proved with all these 4 advantages, wherein we can come forward and speak with an example over here, wherein a small maybe fight which could be sorted out. We could see Vasu not responding much, wherein I am yelling at her for not doing something right. Of course, if she would have taken the plunge or spoken more, of course, there would be a serious conflict arising out of it. She chose to be dormant and keeping quiet at the moment. Stimulates search for new facts or solution. Of course, she'll go back, she'll find out, search new facts or ideas, find out solution. She's going to work on it and she's going to learn with it. And of course, the relationship here, when we say, of course, when Vasu learns out of it, when the project is completed, right? As an intern, she would feel, yes, of course, I learned. This is what, when you hear the second recording, you would understand there will be enhanced relationships, and yes, it increases cohesiveness. So with the help of an example, I proved all the 4 points here. Advantages of conflict. Can anybody come forward and share a real life example related to life or workplace? You can come forward and share over here that, yes, these are advantages of conflicts. They are applicable. Anybody?
Can I
Yes.
say something to it?
Please go ahead. Yeah.
Well, as you said that, conflict is not always in the negative sense. So I would like to add to it that whenever there is a conflict, learning happens. We learn from each other. We learn from, maybe we find better solutions to the problems, which we might in future with other, colleagues or our senior management or whatever. So, I think it's a very good learning opportunity. I see it as a learning opportunity when we talk about conflict at workplace, especially. So, I mean, we look at, multiple solutions to one problem. That's what I feel is the biggest advantage of a conflict.
Absolutely. That's what we're trying to say. It has advantages. It is a positive term. We do come out learning. We are changed personalities after the conflict is over, right? It's that little turmoil in between when we face it. So there, that's what we are trying here to manage it, right? At the moment, tell yourself, yes, it's a positive thing. It is in the end, I'm going to come out learning something out of it for sure. All right. So let's move ahead.
And Manohar sir also said that new ideas come from conflicts.
Yes,
Okay.
new ideas, new facts and solutions, the way we said. Absolutely. Well said, Manohar. So in the same way as we discussed, as we say, a coin has two sides, right? It has disadvantages too. They are right in front of us. Time consuming. Of course, anytime there's a conflict, there would be time involved in it. I have to spend time, days and night, right, trying to sort it out. Disrupts progress. Of course, we go back a little bit. It detracts from the job at hand, keeps people apart if unresolved, and reduces team effectiveness. So here, anybody has a real life example to share over here, which has all the 5 points. It should be justified. Here, with all the 5 points, any problem, a minor problem which has come up at workplace. I'm surely ready with an example, but I want you all to come forward and share.
Sunita, I would like to add here. Today morning, I had a conflict with one of my teammates, and that usually happens on every alternate days. You know, I'm handling a team of 3 career advisors at ProTouch. But the thing is that, you know, it good, you know, whenever you have a conflict, the next day the result used to come out. And it is a positive conflict, I believe. And they even know that I have a stress as a team leader. And they also respect, you know, what I believe. And yes, all the 5 points which you have showcased, it already, I can relate on every alternate days. Today morning only I had a conflict. I won't say it's a negative, it's an unhealthy conflict. Definitely it's a healthy conflict.
Healthy conflict, yeah, of course. We all, that's our agenda. That's what we're trying to say here. But surely it showcases some disadvantages momentarily. So that's what we get scared of. So we want to be aware of these disadvantages and we have to stop it. Of course, it's going to be fine. We should tell ourselves, right? I know that. So that's how it motivates us, keep us going, and we manage it at that moment. All right, let's move ahead, Vasu. Thank you so much, Preeti, for sharing this.
Yeah, so in my experience, I want to add, in my experience, I think all the advantages are true, and so are all the disadvantages. You know, in most of the conflict situation I have been, you know, all these disadvantages are there. You know, it's time consuming, it interrupts the flow. You know, it's distracting. It's you know, reduces team effectiveness. You know, in my experience, I have seen that these disadvantages are temporary, but advantages are permanent. You know, and that's the beauty of the conflicts, you know, that disadvantages are always temporary and advantages are always permanent.
Thank you so much, sir. I mean, well said. You try to sum it up so well. That's what we're trying to say. We don't need to be scared of this term, right? It's momentarily. It's going to come in our way, but we should know how to handle and manage it. That is the most important, the beautiful part of it. All right. So let's move ahead. So now various types of conflict. Let's understand the types of conflict. The first one, when we talk about intrapersonal, intra, the word means within, right? Within. So when I talk about intrapersonal, it's in my mind. When I'm battling in my mind with a thought, with an idea, should I do it? How do I do it? How am I supposed to do it? So that fight within myself, right? So that's called intrapersonal. That's within a person's mind, an individual who's fighting. That's a conflict. For example, a drug addict, right? In a rehab, they are fighting with that thought in their mind. I have to do this, right? But no, this is not the way. I shouldn't be going for it. So there's a battle going on within. So it has, right? So certain characteristics, anybody can come up with an example of intrapersonal, wherein I am battling a thought, a battle in my mind. For example, somebody's not doing well. I need more educators here. I need to hire, but it's the cost of the company. I have to take care of that. But in two minds, right? What are the owners of the company going to say? But yes, the quality matters here. I don't see good. I have to remove some. I have to get some. So that battling that thought, yeah, indecisiveness in that moment, it's called intrapersonal conflict, where I'm fighting a battle in my mind. Anybody from their workplace can tell me when it's difficult for them to take a decision. They're battling in their mind. Any example anybody would like to share about intrapersonal conflict? When you have to analyze from your within self, right? What am I supposed to do? What is right? What is wrong? Should I do this? Should I not do this? Should I send my daughter abroad? Oh my God, will she be able to cope up with the stress, right? The way one of them, right, shared right now with us, right? The father thought, or maybe the way she wants to send the daughter ahead, right, to work in a different city, it could be anything. And workplace decisions, you want to hire somebody. So anybody with one example of intrapersonal conflict which is going on in your mind?
Yeah, I think, Sunita, as managers or as leaders, each of us goes through interpersonal skills, intrapersonal conflicts, I would say, at the various aspects of work, be it at, rewards and recognitions, where you have to underlie facts, and during the time of appraisals, where you have to justify them, the kind of score that you give. And, most of the time, I would say one has to go through interpersonal conflict at the time of one-on-one meeting with the subordinates, where you have to make them understand the threats or the weakness that one person has, your employee has, but in a very positive way. So how to execute it, how to put it forward to the other person, making it more positive for him to take it as a feedback, is something as a leader that I usually go through during these stages of my one-on-one meetings with my subordinates, during the time of appraisals where I have to give a score as a manager, and during the rewards and recognitions, and yes, at times hiring a right candidate for work.
Candidate, absolutely, well done, right? So many thoughts over there. We want to do it right, basically, right? We don't want to hurt somebody. We want to do good for the company, at workplace, at family, right? When family comes over here, you don't want to hurt your relationship. Everywhere, that's a battle going on in your mind for right and wrong. So that's called a type of conflict which we face every day in our lives. Okay, now coming to the next one, interpersonal. What do you think? What is this kind of conflict? Any idea? I told you intra is within. So inter is outside, of course. So I'll give you that hint. Okay. So what is interpersonal? What do you think? But the word personal is also there. Anybody? Interpersonal.
So it is a conflict that involves two or more people.
Yeah. Absolutely, Sumit. Well said. Two or more people, right? The boss, maybe. If I am talking to somebody the way I was talking to Vasu over here. So one person talking to other, or maybe the boss talking to two or three people, interpersonal. One person talking to two or more people. Yes, boss and the union. Well said here. All right, Manohar, well said. So interpersonal. So what do you think? Why do these kind of conflicts occur? I feel ideas, right? You can write in your chat box what comes to your mind. Why do these kind of conflicts occur? Interpersonal between two people. Of course, two people are different, as we've spoken. Their point of view could be different over here. Their pressures could be different. Their goals could be different, right? Their values could be different. Agendas, right? Well said. So that is how interpersonal. Yes, different point of view, mismatches, cultural working style, upbringing, everything. Well done. Well done. All right. So now when I talk about intra-group, okay, so now again, the intra is within. So what is it? Like intra-group, what do you understand by this term? Intra-group conflict, when I say. Anybody? Within a group. Intra-group and intergroup, when we talk about these two. That's within, and inter is with another group. Okay, when I talk about intra-group, that's within the organization. Maybe, for example, the board of directors, they decide they're going to launch a product, but the marketing team is not ready. So within the organization, when people have common goals, right? So in that one team, one workplace, wherein there are teams, small teams working. So maybe the board of directors, the marketing team, the technical team, you can talk about the finance team. So between various teams here. So that's called intra-group. So why do you think over here fights or conflicts can come in picture? Intra-group, between groups, within the organization, which have people with common goals. Anybody can come up with an example, intra-group. So within the organization, as I said, the board of directors, they want to launch maybe various products, but the marketing team is not ready. They have a different point of view with them. So maybe the arguments over here. All right, when I talk about intergroup, now this is absolutely between two different groups from the same organization, but have very different goals over here. They can be from different Different groups also. For example, racism, when we talk about black and white people, yes, department, completely different departments who have different goals. The finance and the marketing, you will always see a rift over here in these two departments because their goals are different. When their goals are different, right, they play the number game. And the finance team always wants to see if the money is in, then we let you go. Right? So there is always a rift between two, or maybe the customer care and the marketing team. They make all sorts of promises, but here their goals are very different. So within the organization or outside, maybe racism, when we talk about black and white people also, that could be an intergroup. All right, example. So now it's a small quiz, playtime for all of you. So I'll be moving on to my next slide. I want you to write down, what do you think? Is it intrapersonal? Yes, absolutely. In the community, as you said. Religions, two different religions, when we talk about that, again, is a part of intergroup, two different groups with different goals. All right, so let's move ahead to our next slide now. Picture A, what do you think? Which type of conflict is this? Kindly write it down fast. Intrapersonal, one person thinking in their mind. Well said, Rahul. Okay, the B, second one. Intrapersonal is correct. All right. Anybody, one person who answers, right? So Manohar, all right, intrapersonal. Intra-group or intrapersonal. Think again, once again, interpersonal. The second one we are talking about. A boss fighting with somebody, interpersonal. Correct, well said, Pooja. One person fighting with two or more people, interpersonal. Well said, Geeta. All right, let's move ahead to the next slide. C. All right, here. C, I'm talking about C. Argument between two or more people. Interpersonal, correct. Well said, Rahul. Well said. Yes, Sunita, well said. Well said, Manohar. All right, let's move on to D now. Now D, we are looking at D. Shalanbed said, yes. Intrapersonal, again, in the mind, the battle going on in the mind of one person. Intrapersonal, D. All right, well said, Sumit. Thank you so much. Thank you, Pooja. And now E, we are looking at E. Yes, only right. Now, when I look at E, intra-group or intergroup. Yes. Intra-group, two different groups, two different teams, but in one organization, when they have common goals, right? E would be intra-group. E is intra-group. And intergroup is F. F would be intergroup. Yes, well done. F is intergroup, two completely different groups here. Well said, everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for answering. All right, let's move ahead. Thank you, Vasu. So now these are some of the sources of conflict in front of you, from where conflict originates. If you're aware about it, right from where, from jealousy or fear, dishonesty, I want you to, everybody, each one of us, we have surely, right, observed in our life from where conflict has originated. What is the source in your life when we talk about? Is it fear or negligence? For me, I would say the tone doesn't work for me at all. I want the other person to use the respectable tone, right? Whenever you're talking to me, the way you communicate is very, very important. So, right? So every person knows from where, whenever it has happened, yes, the tongue, what you say, the way we talk to people, you could be friendly, you can create enemies here. So, of course, hidden, there are people, if you are two friends, and there could be times wherein we feel jealous, she's got a promotion, I've not gone. These are common things in life. It will happen and make you feel bad at that moment. But once we identify these sources, right, it's quite important. So in the past, what has it happened? What has been the source of your conflict? Yes, that's the answer, Pooja, right? Polite words, what you say. But I'd like to know the source from where it originates, because once I know the source, I can work on it. So what has it been for you? For each one of you, what has it been from where the conflict has originated, where it is arising? I need to know, I need to work on myself accordingly. Anybody has something in mind wherein you faced a recent conflict at home? It could be at home in your relationship with your kids, with your husband, or even at your workplace. We are taking both the things in hand. Anxiety, yes, you're anxious, you don't know. Yes, Sumit? Ego, well done. Well done, Manohar. Yes, Sumit, you wanted to say something?
No, I think it was somebody else trying to.
All right. All right. So well done. Ego, right? At times we carry that ego, subordinate. All right. How can she talk to me like this? How can she do this? She doesn't have any sense, right? The way we think in our mind, we have to change our way of thinking. Tone of voice, that's what most of the time, most of the conflicts, they occur from there, the way we treat people. So we should know our boundaries. Yes, you're not supposed to talk to me like this. This is not acceptable behavior. Negligence, we commit mistakes. Communication, fear of being neglected. Yes, absolutely. Jealousy, immaturity. Well done, everybody. Thank you so much for participating. Lack of listening, yes, very important. Fear, failure, right? Envy with others. Well done. Thank you, Chaitra. All right, let's move ahead. All right, so now we have a video. I'm going to play this video for all of you. I want you to observe this because in the end, you will be answering A and B. Find out the type and the source of conflict. We just now studied intrapersonal, interpersonal, and the source from where it is originating. We've discussed both the points here in detail. So I want you to peacefully watch this video, a 2-minute video. And Vasu, kindly play the video, please.
First of all, our project has been delayed for 3 times and our directors are not happy about it. Secondly, our clients are not happy about our user interface prototype and they wish to see a better version by tomorrow. Okay, Christopher, I need you to come up with a new design for our homepage. Please get it done by 5 p.m.
But boss, I need to celebrate my first wedding anniversary and I still have to come up with the UML diagram for the developer team.
Don't tell me your problem, just give me a solution to my problem.
Not again. When will I be out of this project team? I want my work to be perfect, if only if I have more time to work on it.
Hey Rachel, have you finished the online shopping cart?
I only finished 50% of it.
What? I have told you to do it 2 days ago and you have yet to complete it. How am I going to show the client tomorrow? Hey Chris, can you help Rachel to finish up the shopping cart by 5 p.m?
Huh? Other people's work also become my work. That's so unfair.
Okay, so I believe that everyone knows what to do, so please update the task board and show me everything by 5 p.m. Guys, how's the progress of my homepage and my shopping cart?
I still need more time to come out with the homepage.
What? What have you been doing since morning?
I'm still lacking of inspiration. I'm still thinking of how to come up with the best design to impress our customer.
That's bullshit. I don't need such perfection for the homepage. Just get it done by 5 p.m.
I just anyhow finished the homepage in order to go back to celebrate my wedding anniversary tonight.
Hey guys, send me your work now. Hey Chris, where are you going? I have yet to check your work.
But I already told you I need to go back for my wedding anniversary. You're supposed to check my work at 5 p.m.
How dare you talk to me like that?
You know what? I had enough. I'm going to transfer to another project team.
Fine, go ahead.
All right. Okay, we saw the video here. So what do you think? What is the source of conflict from where it originated? And secondly, what do you think is the type of conflict?
First of all,
feel free to type here. Yes. Task to be completed, right? The way he's communicating, right? Anything, what you feel, according to you, the source of conflict. Arguing, yes. Attitude of the boss, well said.
Mom, can I add something?
Yes, please go ahead.
The
Chetra?
boss is not, being a good listener. If he would have, just heard to his subordinate, he would have maybe found the solution. So I think he would have been a little more empathetic towards them.
Empathetic, yes, correct. Empathy, the way we treat human beings, people who are working with you, the way we communicate, the same thing could be said in a different tone, understanding his problem at the same time. Telling versus communicating.
Like mostly ordering them to do things. Yeah.
Yes, harsh tone also could be. Well said. And what do you think? What type of conflict is happening here? Intrapersonal, interpersonal, intra-group, or intergroup? Interpersonal, Manohar. Well said. Between two people here, right? Personal, interpersonal, between two or more people. Well said. Intra-group, it would be completely different departments, but here we would stick to interpersonal more, between two people. Mostly it's shown over here with two or more people generally. All right, well said, Divya. Thank you so much. Over to you, Vasu.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. So after watching this video and listening to ma'am, we've understood that there are a lot of places where conflict exists, and there are various kinds of conflict which are there, like interpersonal, intrapersonal, and the ones within the groups, and intergroup and intragroups. Right now, we have to see that conflict exists, but what are the ways to resolve or manage that conflict? Because if we're not able to manage the conflicts well, they will aggravate and will become into big problems, which will be very difficult or maybe at times impossible to solve. So now let us try to see how do we solve the problem.
First of all, our project.
All right. So there are various kind of strategies that people use to create a resolution, positive resolution towards problems. So from you, first, I want to understand, you've watched the video. If you were a part of that team or you were the leader of that group, how would you have tried to manage the same situation? You still want the work to be done on time. You still are working on a strict deadline and the things are not working well. So how will you try to talk to your subordinates? Or if you're on the other side of it, what would be your strategy to handle it?
So, Vasu, I think as a leader, one has to sit with the subordinates, do a brainstorming, and try to underlie the facts where exactly the project is stagnating and what is stopping them to achieve the goal within a design time frame. Second, one has to be a patient listener. See, this has been a perfect example. If someone has to quote example between a difference between a boss and a leader, right? So a leader is one who is an active listener, who sits with the team, try to understand where the project is stagnating and give the utmost support in terms of giving instructions and at the same time executing it along with them. I mean, giving his support in terms of execution also. So here I could see the one who was leading this team was only giving instructions without trying to understand what the other person is going through in the situation, and giving him a hand in terms of helping him or trying to make sure that the person is able to execute the task within time. Like there was one word that was used by the guy who was in black shirt, says, and he was saying that he was lacking inspiration. Right. So as a leader, it is also your responsibility to go ahead and understand and inspire people to execute the time within a designated time frame, execute the task within a designated time frame. Yeah.
Okay, that's really great, Sumit. Thank you so much. Anybody else who wants to say something, add something in the chat box? Okay, so
I think one of the ways I would have, maybe tried it is, at times that your demands are unreasonable, and it is putting pressure on people. I think it's okay to be vulnerable and express that, saying that I know I'm putting too much pressure on you. I know it's your wedding anniversary, and I fully understand your situation, and then express your situation and try to figure out a middle way, to resolve it.
yes. Thank you so much, sir. So, in the slides forward, we are going to see there are a few steps in which you can do it in a proper way. So, the thing is, when there are big problems, if we are able to create them into smaller chunks and we put them, see things individually, it becomes easier to deal with them. Now, to begin with, let us see the first step of how you can deal with such situations. You have to identify the critical information. Whose problem is this? What is the situation and the other factors about it? So, first of all, we will try to understand what is actually going on rather than just seeing that my boss is very rude with me. I don't want to work with this person, as he says in the starting only that maybe I'll switch to another project, or when is this project going to get over? So first you have to understand what is the critical information. What is the scene right now? Because you will be able to switch to another project once this project is complete. So we have to see the problem in hand first and try to solve that first. And then who are the stakeholders who are involved? For example, in this video, we saw that they're creating a website for some company. So they're dealing with some client and then they have to report back to, maybe the boss is also answerable to someone who is the head of their department too. So there are various people involved. And what is our history? Maybe all the projects have been done on time with 100% effectiveness, with minimal glitches in the software or whatever. So we have had a track record, and now because of one time we cannot let it hamper our future, or future projects or something like that. So we have to understand what is actually going on in the first picture. After that, we move on to understand what are the organizational factors which are present here. So whenever you're working in an organization, there are policies, there are various frameworks on the basis of which an organization functions. So we can see towards the end of the video, the subordinate just gets up and lashes out on the senior and says that I don't want to work with you anymore, I'm going to switch to another project. So can you actually do that? You need to understand the boundaries in which you're working. Maybe there's another way to deal with it. There are human resource departments in the organizations where you can go and talk that, directly telling that I don't like this person, I hate him, he's not good to me, he doesn't talk well, I don't want to work with him. So saying out xyz bad things about someone, rather let us approach the same thing in a procedural way. So maybe talk to the HR and tell them that I'm finding it difficult in handling this particular project. Maybe we can switch to something else, or you can find a solution for me. And then the HR can take it forward from there. So rather than taking a decision on our own, we need to see that we are a part of an organization and we cannot just act completely on our own. Then what personal factors do I have to acknowledge? I do understand that the person had his wedding anniversary and did have to go to work, to his home, sorry, but he can maybe try to understand how much can I try to accommodate in the same situation. Maybe he can drop a message to his spouse that it might take me an hour more or something, so that there is no another conflict is not growing back at home when he reaches there. So maybe other personal factors which he can try to control or accommodate in the same situation. Then personal issues, conflict resolution style. So you need to see that, are you growing a conflict with the person? The boss is under tension or is in rage because the work is not getting done on time. So maybe it's the work which is causing him to behave like this, and it is not his personal behavior or characteristic. So we need to separate him from his personal working style. At the same time, the boss has to understand that if the project is not done by 2 or 3 people, the works which are assigned to them, there can be reasons for it. So rather than just shouting and imposing the work on them and giving them strict orders, he can try some other way, a little firmer, in which it will be which will be a better way to resolve the conflict, and one of the subordinate will not end up walking out of the group. Then, I'm sorry. In the third step, we see the personal inventory. What am I made up of? So here, what does my role, my behavior work? How does my behavior work in this dynamic? So if we see the boss, he's full time, he's in this commanding action. You can see that he's not asking for things, but he's actually giving orders which are in a tone which is also very harsh. So not everybody is able to take that up. Sometimes people just can't take that tone, as Sunita ma'am just said. So we have to understand that how am I acting? What is my role in this particular situation? And then what elements am I willing to change? So we need to again look at the situations from a perspective like how much flexibility can I offer from from my side. For example, if we think back about the audio that we played between me and Sunita ma'am, we saw that there can be some elements which can be worked out. For example, we see that when Sunita ma'am lashes out on me, is it her wedding or is it the daughter's wedding? Whose wedding is it? So maybe as an intern, I can try to be a little softer in tone and not give back immediate responses. So am I willing to make any change? Am I willing to take a step forward so that it is easier for us to resolve the conflict and look at what actually matters to me? Do I just want to win in this situation? Do I value that relationship over the winning, or am I just looking for a specific outcome from it? For example, here the person just wants the shopping cart to be ready, the design to be ready, or we can see that he is definitely not valuing the relationship he has with the team. So we need to understand what is more important to me. And as an organization, the projects do matter. When we are able to end of the day, perform well in our projects and deliver good products, eventually it makes us feel better and we understand that there were a lot of problems, but it was all worth it. So we need to focus on the ultimate outcome which is going to come from it. After this, every individual, no matter if you're the boss, if you're the owner of the organization, or if you're just one of the persons who has just joined the organization, you should work towards increasing your own effectiveness. How can you do that? You have to understand your own feelings, the way you're behaving. For example, in the audio, we saw that at one moment of time, Sunita ma'am started speaking very fast and in a very pitchy tone. That shows that she's getting into rage and she's getting very irritated by the work that I haven't done. So maybe it is the time to try to, acknowledge it that, okay, I'm getting worked up, let's do it again. And then you have to separate the problem from the people. You have to see that, that person, she is just, for me, Sunita ma'am is my boss. So of course she has a set of expectations from me, and as an intern I am supposed to deliver some things. At the same time, Sunita ma'am can try to understand that she's an intern and she is new to this culture, so maybe she'll take some more time to get there. So we need to understand how can we separate the problem and people and focus on the interests. Where do we want to go? Not that, oh, she's just an intern, she doesn't know anything, or she is very bossy and I don't like the way she talks to me. So we have to focus towards generating solutions and not just focusing on this person talks to me like this or that. So we have to see a bigger picture and try to understand how can we solve this problem and reach the goal, and not just keep on revolving around the problems themselves. After this, we will talk about how can you manage conflict with various parties. So I just want to ask you, if you get into a situation which is conflicting, if there is some kind of some conflict is building up with your boss, all right, so will you use how will you try to acknowledge or address that problem if you're getting into a trouble with your boss? If we take the example of the audio that we played. If you're in my position and I was under the impression that I was going to do the color sorting with ma'am, we were going to sit down and do it, but she was under a completely different impression about it. So if you were at my place, how would you have tried to manage it? Because she shouted on me and it didn't go well. The conversation was a little harsh. So how would you try to manage that? Anyone?
I think the timing is also very important. It is not necessary that you have to solve everything then and there. Because if there is something which you have not liked, one is you can obviously let the person know at that time, or you maybe, you can defer your conversation to a later time and do it in a more conducive environment and then circle back saying, that day, and there's a great tool called SBI, which you can always use to resolve these kind of conflicts.
Okay. And thank you, sir. And Sumit sir is also saying that, rather than opposing and giving back answers, we'll try to acknowledge her. He will try to acknowledge her and ask for some assistance, since I am the intern. So obviously she comes with more of experience, and that's why she has greater knowledge about it. So rather than going for, I should try to seek her assistance so that we can do it in a better way. At the same time, if you're at Sunita ma'am's place, then how will you look at it? How will you try to resolve it from Sunita ma'am's position? You can see that there's a timeline. You have the meeting on Friday, and the colors have to be sorted, and the intern hasn't done anything which she was supposed to do. So how will you discuss it with the intern, with me?
Maybe setting the expectation again and making another plan, working backwards from the timeline.
Okay.
And good
Okay.
point, which Sumit is also mentioning, to see, does she have enough resources and capability to meet the expectation? We check, will you be, able to do it? What are some of the roadblocks that you may face, and how can we overcome them?
Exactly. So, in this situation, sir, we see that if you're at my position and you have to deal with the senior, your approach is different. And when you're at Sunita ma'am's position and you have an intern who's not delivering the work she's supposed to do, your approach to make her understand it or solve the problem is different. So you have to tailor the way you deal with that conflict depending on the situations with whom you're dealing. So we get in conflicts with our superiors, we get in conflict with our subordinates, as well as the people that we work with, our peers. So with each person, there is a different way in which we deal. Okay. Chaitra ma'am has also written, being humble, understanding that she's an intern, including her along with her work to help her along the way. Okay, so the idea is that interns basically come to an organization to learn how the organizations function. So keeping that thing in mind and giving her work accordingly. So now let's just get this thing first, that when you have to deal with your superiors, you're the junior, so you have to respect the position first, and accordingly the your senior is dealing with a lot of things. He has so much on his plate. Like Sunita ma'am just said, that I have so much on my plate, I can't do it right now. So you just give her the precise things, precise data or information just in one go, so that they do not have to keep on looking at things again and again and again. And you just tell them explicitly what you're looking for. If I've gone to meet her, this is the reason why I've come here to talk to you. And then you have to understand that in their positions there are problems. In that audio we could listen that Sunita ma'am will be answerable to other people. Tomorrow if we go for the meeting, they will not be looking at the intern, they will be looking at the head, that how have you planned it, we were waiting to hear it from you. They don't know how much of the work the intern is doing or whether they're working at all or not. So the manager or the seniors, they're the answerable people. So we have to understand, if we're dealing with a problem with someone who is senior, so we have to understand the problems that are there in their position as well. And at the same time, we should not be expecting gratitude or approval. This is because they have so much on their plate, they cannot go on to acknowledge everything that you do. Sometimes they will just see it and they will just move on. And maybe you were waiting for something on that moment, that maybe a word of praise would have been fine, but expecting that can get you in real trouble mentally, because when we create expectations and you do not get it, things get even worse by the time. And then this is how we can try to deal with our seniors when there are problems. And when you're in the higher position and there is a subordinate, you have to match the action with words. The subordinates will pick up your words and work accordingly. They will follow you in whatever you do, or they will just do exactly as you're you tell them to do. So in this case, you have to be explicit about the expectations that you're setting, as you people have already mentioned. So it's very you have to precisely tell ki, this is what I expect from you, and please get it done by this time, so that there is a clear line of communication and that doesn't cause any conflicts further. And then if you want to give feedback to people, and like Rahul sir has told us earlier, it's feed forward as well. So you need to do it in private. Some of the feedbacks can be given in public areas, but sometimes when you want to give them something negative, they might not be very willing to take it. People resist listening bad things about them. So at that time we should focus towards giving feedback in the personal space. Maybe call them to the cabin or explain it to them over a mail, so that it is one-to-one communication. And when you're in one-to-one, the connection is better, so they understand you also in a better way. Then deal fairly and objectively with poor performance. We know everybody has some failure at one point of time, during their work times and all. But at the same time, you have to tell them what went wrong. You can't just keep on shouting on them and telling them. There can be another way of dealing with it. You can be firm. You can just give the reasons why you're not liking it. So you have to be like a coach and not a player. You are not competing with them. You are the senior person. They're following you. So when they're following you, if you do like that, maybe tomorrow they'll do the same way when someone new comes to the organization. So it's important when you're dealing or managing a conflict with your subordinates, you have to be you hold a position from where they're seeing you, so you have to act accordingly. And in the last one, understanding how to manage conflicts with your peers. So when you have for example, the video that we saw in which the boss asks this person to help Rachel also in her work, but as you know that it's his wedding anniversary and he has to go back home early. So maybe you need to discuss it with her in person. So solve this problem without involving others, that maybe can you just do it yourself, because today I have to go back home and I'll owe you one or whatever. And then you know that there are shared interests. We all want the work to be done on time, so we have to work together towards it. So you have to understand that peers are at your same level. We try to compete with them, but we have to understand, if we keep the competition aside and just work towards working together, the goals are achieved easily and in more effective way. And then you can consider some humor. For example, when you're dealing with these things, so maybe after this, if you get this work done, I'll get you the best coffee from the town or whatever. So you're trying to make the relations also better. At the same time, you're getting the work done too. So this is how there are various degrees in which you manage conflict when you're dealing with different people. So it varies from position to position. Now, there are various ways, various styles in which you manage conflict. So if you understand your way of managing conflict, it will be easier for you in the future to deal with it. Maybe there are like a few styles of conflict. You can see them and understand which one will suit you better. Sunita ma'am, from here you will take it.
All right, sure. Thank you, Vasu. Really sorry, we're running late. We just need 10-15 minutes to complete this. I'm really sorry about this. I guess time management a little bit. And yes, conflict management styles, as you all can see on screen: competition, avoidance, compromise, collaborate, accommodate. Trust me when I say this is a mirror for all of you. It's a mirror right in front of you. You're going to pick up your own conflict management style from here. Try to associate with it, try to relate with it, and try to find out where do you stand. So starting with the first one, when you say avoidance, the term itself, right? We'll be studying a little bit in detail about each one of them. As you all can say, avoidance, a person who avoids, right, completely the conflict. I'm in a shell and I just want to avoid it. Competition means a leadership style wherein somebody is autocratic. My way, everything has to be my way, right? So I'll be just speaking about these two over here. Let me show it to you. Vasu, kindly change the slide, please. Let me know honestly, wherever you people, right, relate yourself with this particular style. Avoidance, as you say, you don't have a dog in this fight. So here there's nobody fighting only. as you can see the caption here, nobody's fighting. The person doesn't want to fight. The person doesn't want to talk. He's just a neutral party here. He's just simply avoiding it. He's in a shell like a turtle, right? I go inside and I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to do much about it here. So I'm just avoiding at the moment. For example, you fight with your sister. She's not even responding. You're trying to patch up, no response from her side. She's not saying anything to you. As we saw Vasu also avoiding the topic, right? At the moment, that was right. It is not always negative when I say avoidance. When we talk about this particular style, less cooperativeness, less over here self-confidence, you can see. But at times, you can also see that could be a right choice. Let me not get into this. Let me complete the task over here, right? Let me not also get into that rage. One person is always upset. So here, but these are timid people, I would say. Cool down needed over here. One person, it buys you a little bit of more time, right? Let the situation calm down. We'll come and talk to it, as Rahul said some time back. But certainly it has some advantages and disadvantages, as I said, right? Once when you're avoiding these kind of situations, avoiding the conflict, it can raise some major issues later on. Missed opportunity to clarify the issue. What if the other person is not ready later on? If in case, in certain cases, increased power, maybe you will consider the manager over here, he's not, confident personality, that's why he's avoiding, right, the topic. He doesn't want to, he doesn't have a personality of his own. Coward pushover label, that's what I'm saying. And overused in healthcare, mostly it's seen, but I would say many places, many people are very peaceful. I would call it more peaceful. They just don't want to get into any fights. They just want to be a neutral party here. They'll try to ignore and withdraw themselves from the fights. So certainly every point when you see, they have pros and cons. So less assertive, yes. So at times, as you said, Sumit, avoiding is positive when you give time for the other person to settle down, calm down, cool down. Time and space is given. So it's not completely wrong, but yes, it shows that the personality, a person is a little underconfident here. Let's move ahead, Vasu. Okay, now competition style. I give it the dialogue. Have you all heard the dialogue? Rishte mein to hum tumhare baap lagte hain. Naam hai Shehenshah. So this style over here talks about this dialogue. I am the divine soul here. I am always right. This is a power-driven position. So they actually drive for power. Whatever I say, I'm 100% right and the other person is zero. So that's true zero and sum game. That is the first trait of this personality. Time constraint, right? Opponents only style. That is the only style they are fighting, and they want to just dominate at all time. Very aggressive personality. They aren't afraid of conflict at all, let me tell you. Let me give you a small example wherein you can see a manager coming and blasting a subordinate at workplace, and maybe he reprimands this person over here. He's looking down and he's only hearing. This is exactly the example. Now, this is surely doesn't go right. But if I tell you the same position, in certain cases, it is needed. Let me tell you, we need this kind of a leadership style, competition to solve the conflict over here, to manage the conflict. Why? Because if in case somebody is not following, this worker is not following the safety measures, he's going to put his life in danger, other people's life in danger. If this boss doesn't come forward and reprimand this person over here today, if he doesn't show him that he's wrong, everybody's life is at stake. So yes, these people are also needed, but yes, the percentage, high assertiveness rate, we would say, right? Very confident, but yes, less cooperative. That is the trait here of this particular. So when you identify yourself, do you have maybe a glimpse of competition? At times it's needed. You're supposed to be the leader over here. Come forward and take the reins in your hand. At times they want numbers, especially the sales manager. If you see them, yes, they want conflicts which do arise are tackled by these kind of people also. So some percentage of this is also positive, but it has its pros and cons. Over to you, Vasu.
Thank you, ma'am. All right. After this, we have the accommodation. So accommodating style of handling with conflict, here the assertiveness level is a little low. So what happens in situations like if you're dealing with a family business, you have a very huge spread out business in family, two brothers are there and something like that. So there will be conflicts when you're handling it, but at the same time you value the relationship more. You want that the conflict at the workplace should not be the reason why there will be disputes in the family. However, it happens a lot, but if you see, there are still cases where they try to accommodate a lot. They issue, the more importance is not given to the issue but to the relationship. So they try to find something which can work out somewhere, and the competition is not really helping much. So they try to accommodate each other. We know that the problem exists, the problem exists, but we don't want to do a lot about it, because the results that dealing with this thing will lead to, nobody wants that. So they just want to accommodate with the same problem. We know that it exists with us, but we're just fine with it. So as ma'am talked about, the characteristics of the properties of conflict, so it is time consuming. So some problems they just leave it for the same way. It's, they find it better to not touch it rather than doing something with it. But at the same time, there are some disadvantages of it, because then you just become a doormat. People will come and use you because it becomes a part, or a part of your personality. So people use you and just go they just take advantage of you as much as possible. And then somewhere the difference will be seen in your power. When you become too accommodating, maybe you're giving into people's choices, and that can also hamper your decision making process as well. After this, we have compromise. So as the word itself says, in compromise, people just give in completely. So the level of assertiveness is negligible here. So people are ready to, bend down and agree to what someone else's or the person in front is saying, because it is the best way forward. Maybe not for them, but to handle the overall situation, it is best to just let them do what they're doing. So this style works, but not always, because there are disadvantages, like your focus is only towards the position that you're sitting on. At this situation, at this position, you cannot afford to get into that kind of conflict, so you just want to avoid it. So you compromise and you let what the other person is doing. So lose lose rather than win win, because everybody is going to lose something from their side. So it's like you both sit together and you discuss about it, and you find that, okay, I don't want this, you tell me what do you want. So it's like a court which is going on, and where you decide that these are the problems that I am facing, these are the problems that you are facing, and each party comes to a mutual agreement that I don't want this, and I expect this from you. So on that mutual level, you are winning something, but at the same time you're losing more, because you will be bending and you will be giving out things to someone else. So this may create a problem, because you may miss out on a systematic solution or a desired solution that you were looking for, because somewhere you will have to compromise. If someone else from the front is compromising, you will do it too. And that happens mostly in the courtrooms. And that is why lawyers are hired, because they bring forward a settlement that this is what the other party is agreeing to. And if we can go forward, let's go with it. So this is how you deal with the conflicts in a compromising way. And then we have collaboration. So what happens in collaboration? You build, you get together and you try to come down to a mutual position. It's a little bit different from the previous one we did, because there you're going to lose something, but here you're trying to build something that can be handled together. So you have, you take those steps forward, you take steps that are needed to be taken in order to bring the change, or to reach a desired solution from both the parties. So in this case, you're allowed to focus more towards the goals and issues that you have in the in that situation. At the same time, you may lose something, but not something big, because you are sitting together and there is a clear communication of what you're expecting from the other person. Now this again takes a lot of time, because there are like I am not getting the word, but there are, yes, there are negotiations, what I want from you and what you want from me. And it takes time because nobody wants you to get everything and they getting less. So in this way, you have to come down to mutual requirements that you have, and it will take time because you have to work together, and for that you need to take out time. And in all these styles we need to understand that conflict is not our main business. We are doing some other work, and this hampers our productivity, this hampers our work environment, and because of that there is a lot of time which just gets lost between this in handling these kind of problems. So everybody in this thing, in this situation, the bad thing can also be that everybody has to listen to the other one and agree to them, and even if they're not willing to do it, they have to do it. So they have to go ahead and take that step and change, and sometimes people just don't want it. So these are the things that will happen when when you opt for a style which is more towards collaborating. After this, we have the second part of the audio that we did. So the discussion between Sunita ma'am and I, how we're trying to we want to select the color for the fabric. And the first discussion ended abruptly because I was scolded basically. And now in the second one, we see how is it dealt with later on.
They look good, Vasu, but both of them are warm tones. I don't think it will go as per the requirements of the client. Have you checked any pastels or light shades like the pastel pinks or greens?
Ma'am, every other company is using those tones. I think we're losing the touch of an Indian wedding here.
I understand your point, but we have to keep the customer's choices in mind. And not to forget, pastels are pure, classy, and subtle colors. They evoke your feelings and certainly are symbolic to new beginnings here. To sum it up, we are the vendors. It's their wedding. They pay us for what they want. Okay, let's start over. Please bring the color palette. Let us see if we can go for various combinations. We'll figure something out.
Sure, ma'am.
Also, do you want some coffee?
Always ready for it.
Okay, so this was the way that we tried to handle the situation. So what do you think? What kind of style is working here?
Collaboration.
Collaboration. Anybody else has something else to say?
Even I think collaboration and accommodating as well.
Okay, so we can see that there can be situations where you have to try a combination of conflict styles as well, managing conflict as well, and eventually you have to basically the styles that work for your personalities are the ones which are going to help you solve these problems. So yeah, that was it. And then we have sorry, yeah, this one. So eventually in all the all the styles of handling conflicts, there is one thing which is essential, something which is called communication. We've all studied it, heard about it, and we do it every day. The thing is that the more you listen to people, the better you get at it. So communication helps you to cultivate trust, because if I am having a problem with my senior, I should go and talk to them directly, or maybe explain what I felt about it, stay clear, concise, and positive. Always tell them that this is what I'm expecting from you. So when you articulate your needs and when you acknowledge others' needs, this is when conflicts can be minimized to the best possible way. So this is how we can try to minimize conflicts from initiating in the first place, if we use the right kind of communication skills with us. And the most important of it is listening, because we mostly try that communication is all about speaking and expressing our views, but at the same time it is being a good listener as well, because when you listen, you understand people well, and then you're able to act properly. This is it.
All right, so we'll take it to the last one now, all right, because we're running out of time. It's been too long. Let's go back. So this is what we covered today. And we want all of you, because we're cutting down on one exercise, the last one here. So yes, simple, I guess you understood the styles. I want you all to identify and mirror yourself, which is the best style, right? To fight conflict, right? To manage conflict, which you will be using, or a blend or mix and match of few. So this is what we covered today in our session. It's right in front of you. I'd like to sum it up. So what is the definition of conflict? Your preferred style, and style based on various situations. Tailor your approach based on involved parties, who's right in front of you, proactively manage conflict, and above all, learn to communicate and listen. Always be a good listener. So yes, with this, we come to the end of our session. Thank you so much. Thank you, each one of you, for giving us that little extra time. I'm once again sorry about it. Over to you, Preeti and Rahul, sir.
Thank you so much, Sunita and Vasundhara. It was amazing, webinar on conflict management. I'll definitely, as a team leader, I'll definitely practice from today onwards itself. Tomorrow on the floor, so that we have a good, healthy relationship with our teammates, with my teammates especially.
Thank you, Preeti.
Welcome. So now the platform is open for everyone. If you have any questions, please feel to ask. Today we have our Director of ProTouch as well as founder, Rahul sir, with us. So if you have any questions, anyone who would like to ask to our guest speakers and to Rahul sir, please, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Very well done, Sunita and Vasundhara. I think it was amazing session. A lot of knowledge, lot of takeaways. Very engaging. Lot of examples, and I really like you taking effort to record an interaction, and then communicating through that. I think it was very well done. I personally learned quite a lot. Fantastic performance.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. And obviously the credit goes to ProTouch, because it was an opportunity that you people gave us, and it's really unique. Not everybody does that. And we were very happy to, get back to working and creating sessions and everything and collaborating together. So thank you so much to the team as well.
Fantastic. Okay, so you can stop recording, Vasundhara, and if you can transfer the host rights to me.
Yeah.